Okay, people, it's 6 o'clock. We should get started. So it is 6 o'clock. Everybody is present with the exception of Kendra. She's an excused absence, has some family stuff going on. So two, Pledge of Allegiance. I'm assuming we don't have any citizen comments?
No, we don't.
Marissa? Okay, on to 4, consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. I'm assuming everybody's had a chance to look at the items there. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
And a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it. On to 5, staff reports. City manager report, Ryan?
Mayor and council, first we have to recognize employees for their service. We have Officer Brown. Here we go. There we go. 2 years. And we have Ryan Ferguson, Public Works, 6 years. And then 19 years, Linda, Library Director. Thank you. Volunteer contributions, our water bill stuffers did about 9 hours, and the library, I think, had about 110 hours of volunteer this month, if not a little bit more. So, and then council, do you have any questions about anything related to the department's updates or reports in the packet? Okay. For general updates related to community permits and usage, community center, they're in the agenda packet. On Friday, I provided you a city manager report. I was just going to touch on a few of those. I had the condemnation case update. We'll discuss that later in executive session. This is a result of the proposed gas pipeline that a company wants to run through Schoenthal plant. We will be having a condemnation hearing later this month. For ours purposes, we've engaged hydrologists and legal counsel to assist us through this process. The draft sewer agreement for Schertz is back on the Schertz side for review, so hopefully that'll be going to their city council soon. Paul Davis Park, we're finalizing the bid process. Hope to go to construction probably late August, maybe late July, early August. And then the agreement for code enforcement for Selma was tentatively set for this month in Selma, but it's looking like it'll be on their council meeting next month. And other items, the feasibility study that was done for Old Nacogdoches Road, that was included in as an attachment to the report to review that. So we finally have a feasibility of the road to give us the next steps of what we need to do in the future. Not only for the repair, but it gives you an idea of what it's going to cost too. So that's pretty much my my city manager report. And you have any questions in particular on the report I provided Friday?
No questions, but I did want everyone to know that Ryan and I and Jim Hunter met with LB and John Keller with Heidelberg today, and one of the topics of discussion was this feasibility study. They are I don't know what it looks like, but they say they are committed to helping with that road, with the expense or the materials, and they are committed to helping us facilitate agreements with other aggregate operators along that road. So Ryan and I will be setting up meetings with Anderson Columbia, Asphalt Inc., Tricon, all of the related parties to see what we can put together.
Correct, Mayor. And just any feedback, Mayor and Council, the report I sent Friday, it will be something I'll be sending at the end of the month before future council meetings. We'll be adding to some other items as it relates to this. So if you have any feedback or want to see other information related to city projects or departments, please let me know. I can include that in future reports. Thank you.
If there are no questions for Ryan, we will move on to 5.2, City Engineer Project Report. Hank?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just had a quick update on one of the development projects. The gas station north of the city, just out of city limits, but it's within our water service area, is looking to begin construction. We're having a pre-construction meeting with them tomorrow, so we expect that water line extension to start on the north side of the city pretty soon. Other than that, that's the report's up to date, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, council? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to 6, approvals and authorization. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. Final plat, or 6.1, final plat establishing Grace Covenant Church being a total of 2.826 acres, inclusive of 0.044 acre right-of-way dedication, establishing Lot 1, Block 1, Garden Ridge, Comal County, Texas, and being that same property conveyed by special warranty deed with vendor's lien to Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church, recorded in document number 2024060044783 of the official public records of Comal County, Texas. Ryan?
Mayor and Council, this is a final plat. You've approved a preliminary. City engineer reviewed the Covenant Church final plat application. This was sent to P&Z. They approved it unanimously at their May meeting. Again, this is just a formality to move it from a preliminary to final plat. And if you have any questions for Hank, he can respond to those, but they're pretty straightforward, minimal comments from preliminary to final plat.
Nobody? Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the final plat establishing Grace Covenant Church being a total of 2.826 acres, inclusive of 0.044 acre right-of-way. Dedication establishing Lot 1, Block 1, Garden Ridge, Comal County, Texas, and being that same property conveyed by special warranty deed with vendor's lien to Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church, recorded in document number 2024060044783 of the official public records of Comal County, Texas.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it. We can move on to 6.2. Ordinance number 250-062026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting an amendment to the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026, repealing all ordinances and appropriations in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance, providing for a cumulative clause, a severability clause, and a savings clause, establishing proper notice of meeting and declaring an effective date. Ryan?
Mayor and Council, this is a request for approval of an amendment to the FY26 budget to align appropriations with current operational needs, revised project schedules, has some things to do with it, updated revenue projections and their city priorities. These amendments affect both the general and water fund to maintain the balance fund operations. Just under capital, we have Obviously, as the process, we'll get into capital projects later. We're going to be moving the Vista Ridge to majority of those dollars for construction after October 1st. So you see that change, which reduces the general fund loan to the water fund from $660,000 to $65,000 there. We had an increase from $75,000 to $125,000 there for the purchase of a new vehicle. Again, this revenue was offset by the insurance claim, so you'll see a increase on the revenue side, which we received the insurance check from. We had to replace the HVAC at the community center for $18,000, and then we are moving forward with some landscaping currently. It's underway right now, where we added the $8,000 in there. The personnel and staffing adjustments, again, we have multiple police department openings right now, 3 or 4, I believe. So there's a savings there under the personal staffing adjustment. Engineering service, right now, we had a line item for about $75,000. This is currently around 120, but we put in 155 just to be safe with some other engineering projects that we have till the end of this current budget. As I mentioned in my city manager report, some of those are studies that were done independently, like the old NACO Road feasibility study, the consultants we use to do the street PCI, which is going to put in place our street CIP in the coming months. And then there was other design engineering work to close out the Bat Cave project. So essentially, council, you know, we're doing more projects, thus result in additional engineering dollars. So those are what was shown there. Increase on the consultant side, that was a result of Jill Shackelford. We had money set aside last year, but didn't bill us till after October 1st, so we had to make sure there was money in there. I think the agreement last year was not to exceed $10,000, I believe, which isn't really even close, but we have to essentially account that it's after October 1st now. So we have to make sure there's dollars in there. And then we move forward with the second part of the retail coach, so we have dollars associated with that. There's an increase in the water fund for attorneys engineering service as a result of what I spoke of earlier about the pipeline. And then some increase in public works maintenance accounts, including facility grounds, building maintenance to address operational requirements. Under the revenue adjustment, we had an increase in sales tax, increase in the miscellaneous for Torah rent contract amendment. And then under the building permit revenue, we so far after 6 months have not got where we had estimated. And part of that was, and we didn't even move forward with the new ordinance to update the residential and commercial fees till April. So as we move forward and put the proposed budget, you'll see how we're keeping that number in place, because next year we do see an increase in revenue permit, especially with some upcoming projects in the pipeline right now. The proposed amendments update both expenditure and appropriation revenue adjustments to reflect current fiscal conditions. Obviously, this improves budget accuracy, support ongoing operations, and again, maintains the balanced fund budget. Staff recommends approval of the budget amendments as presented.
Any questions, council?
Yes, I had one. We might have talked about this, but I can't remember. The Vista Ridge tie-in project, what was the reason behind it being delayed? Or is it because we're looking for what is it, for funding for, what is it, grants?
Well, we are going to apply for a grant
Right.
to hopefully offset the construction. But right now, I'll let Hank. Hank's been working with the Saul's consultant, I believe.
Okay.
Go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, so the line that we're wanting to connect into is tied to the Meritage Homes development that's along Schoenthal Road north outside of the city, and that's been delayed, so we can't necessarily begin our project until
And that's
we
been
connect
delayed?
into
Has it been
their
delayed by
line.
SAW? Is that who's delayed it, or did you say it? I didn't know if you had said.
It's developer driven, so it's a SAWS line, but the developer is bringing the line over. So that's stalled, and we can't connect to that until they get it in front of us to be able to connect to, that type of thing. So that's the,
Is it also delayed because of the fact that we're looking for grants as well? Is that part of the plan?
No, no, not at all. That's just gonna be where we don't utilize our dollars associated with the project. Again, even though we're waiting, because of this, it's still gonna save the city dollars in the long run because we're keeping with this route. The alternative was going, is gonna cost the city about $120,000 more to go underneath 3009 there. So now that we're tying into the easement there, this is gonna make it easier. It just takes a little longer. So.
I don't know if you can answer this one too, but on the next one about the water fund that's been lowered from 660 to 65, what's the rationale on that? That's a significant discount. Do you-
yeah, the 60 is to finish up engineering for the plan. So we're still moving forward with the plans and getting them ready to go bid. We're just not.
Yeah, there's gonna be
constructing
some
them.
dollars spent between now and the end of September, right? So we wanna make sure there's still dollars in there to do that, like Hank says, working on these engineering aspects, for the design purposes. So, the bulk of that money is construction, so.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance number 250-062026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting an amendment to the budget for the fiscal year beginning October the 1st, 2025, and ending September the 30th, 2026, repealing all ordinances and appropriations in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance, providing for a cumulative cause, a severability clause, and a savings clause, establishing proper notice of meeting, and declaring an effective date.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, the ayes have it. On to 6.3, fiscal year 2027 budget work session. Ryan?
So, this will be Councilman Hunter's first time, so we'll, this is more of an exercise to, in transparency to make sure, we identify revenue expenditures, show where all the money goes and what it's spent on, from that standpoint. Tonight's workshop formally begins the 27 budget development process. We'll present preliminary revenue projections, capital needs, budget considerations to gather council's input and direction. This discussion serves as the first step in the budget cycle that will continue through the development of the proposed budget, continuous workshops, public hearings, and ultimately lead to adoption of the budget. The first slide here was an overview of, let me see real quick, major fund revenue sources. Of course, we have our budget here for sales tax. This projected sales tax for collections. I believe that's from next year, right, Robin, the 605?
That's where we're trending right now.
Trending right now, yeah. So what we've targeted is plugging 600,000 in right now for the projected sales tax revenue. Again, as you see in your packet there in the financials, month to month, Robin's put together a chart that shows year-to-year differences in sales tax collections. And then again, hopefully, as we move forward with some development down the road, we're only going to see that increase. Franchise fees are traditionally considered use of right-of-way, mostly collected through CPS, utility companies. We're looking at putting in $668,700 for next year, and right there is a breakdown of all the franchise fees that we collect. There it shows our ad valorem collections over 5 years, and so right now in the budget we had about $2,134,000. As we go down there, sales tax is incorporated in there. So for our general fund revenue in this case, being sales tax and ad valorem, it totals $2,738,103, and what we've proposed is a little bit of an increase in that, $2,801,456 as the proposed revenue. Here is just a breakdown again of the franchise fees. You can see the 5-year history as well. So you get a good understanding of where those dollars come in from: electricity, gas, telephone, and water. And then, of course, the garbage there. These are other areas of revenue here. We have our permits, from alarm system to business permits, fees, rentals, down from garbage, P&Z filings, pet tags. These are a number of revenues that we see. In total, we had looked at 199, 275. So we probably are looking at 196, 425 as far as next year's proposed target in this category. Donations, anywhere from the donation police department outlined here, pet, library, parks, all the way down to landscaping. The total 134, we see it down to 1,000. So, and then in court here, municipal court, other court fees, we had put 168,000, 330,000. And so we are looking at about 162,300 for next year. This category in the preliminary, again, miscellaneous, we're talking recycling, insurance claims, the bank interest. We've seen a little bit of decline in the bank interest from that standpoint. All the way down, this category, we had 274,000 plugged in. So we see a little bit of decline. I think 238,800 is the proposed revenue for this category. Again, I think mainly attributed to the interest, right, Robin? Okay. And then, of course, here's a revenue summary of our total revenues. The major categories: taxes, franchise, permits, fees, donations, court, and then miscellaneous. 4,278,307 was our budget. And then we're looking at a little bit of a decrease for next year and targeting 4,172,681. The water fund is supported primarily by water sales, service-related fees. These projections help ensure the utility remains financially sustainable while supporting operations and capital projects. So if we look here, the total for this category in water sales, about 2,290,000, and then right now for 27, we're projecting 2,300,000 there. So a little bit of an increase. And then again here under miscellaneous, you have the areas of revenue related to miscellaneous income down to interest again. See a little bit of dip in the interest there that we're projecting. And then again, coming down to the transfer from the fund changes and transfer down to 660,000 to 560. Water sales here again, this is the summary from water sales, fees, miscellaneous, fund changes, transfers, loans. These are the 4 major categories of the revenue for summaries. Looking about 3,155,100 is the FY26 budget. Looking at around 3,066,300. This I wanted to touch on, council, that we have identified projects. Obviously, we know we have the Vista Ridge Interconnect with SAWS, and as we spoke, we are going to push the dollars to next year's budget, the majority for the construction. Renovations of public works facilities. As you recall, last year we put money into taking the old city hall and making it the water department. And so I've talked to Stephen about doing some improvements around the public works facility. So I have a list of projects that I will propose to council at a next meeting that shows some certain projects within there. But we are targeting other areas too, about doing some improvements in the animal care area. We also talked about getting shade structures for some of the trucks, and then just improving some areas of the facility from that standpoint. I think this is, a long time coming, according to Stephen, that he'd hoped of doing some improvements at the facility for a few years now. Street maintenance, Obviously, we need to start doing some maintenance on our streets. Now that we have the PCI scores, we're setting up to have the street CIP. That's gonna outline the next 5 to 10 years on what streets we need to do and what money we need to carve out to do those streets. The 20-year water CIP was done a few months ago. Obviously, as council, you all are aware, that's a 20-year project. It's a 20-year CIP that outlines projects each year at about $1 million each year. The sewer interconnect door lane upgrade, again, as we move forward with Schertz for the sewer agreement, we're gonna have to connect underneath the railroad tracks there to the main at door, and then possibly upgrade the line to assist with the development down at the corner of 2252 and 3009. We have some preliminary numbers and looking at that and what that costs. Again, it's getting the agreement with Schertz is vital because we will be setting up essentially a rate associated with the users on that line to hopefully maybe as a sense do a pass-through until we get additional users on that line to be able to start getting some additional funds under wastewater. And then I added potential library innovations. We've discussed this before. I know Linda has provided some information to you, but there is a project they'd like to see moving forward that they're hoping to get a public-private partnership with those dollars. And so I just wanted to put it on the radar for council moving forward. We'll probably talk about that at additional, future council meetings. Thanks, Cindy. Next slide. So what I wanted to illustrate here is we have a 13-month reserve, and I've had a lot of discussions with Robin about what that reserve should look like. Most cities have a 6-month reserve, but right now I'm trying to be, and Robin as well, we're trying to be fiscally sort of conservative in this case until we build up sales tax, right? So we want to try to, if we are going to do some projects, we need to prioritize these projects with the potential costs that I've discussed on the last slide, and know that those total about 3.7 million, but right now we have $1 million to work with, right? So we can bring it from 13 to 9 very conservatively and feel that 9 months is a good range to be at for your reserve, knowing that if we develop over the next couple years an influx of sales tax from the development, we can actually bring that down to 6 and use some of those dollars for capital projects. But we want to stay on the fiscal conservative side from that standpoint. Oh wait, Cindy, can you go back? Sorry. So as you can see, what I will get more into detail at a future meeting is what projects that Stephen wants to do at Public Works facility. We have an idea of a number of streets we want to do, so we're targeting that amount. We know kind of how much the Vista Ridge is already, and then of course the sewer connect. We have an idea if we were to go underneath the railroad track, potentially upgrade that line, maybe $450,000, $500,000. And then of course we're looking at the water CIP being about $1 million a year, and then generally what has come out of the preliminary estimates for expansion of the library building itself is like 1.2 million. So I wanted to show council exactly what projects are on the radar, what we are looking at, but also it's going to come down to some priority in this sense because we got about $1 million, and the alternative is, borrowing money. And I didn't even put the old NACO road because, as the mayor mentioned, we're going to try to meet with the companies to try to offset some of that cost. So I would feel better bringing back a price tag to it once we've met with them to get commitments from those operators, which again will play a role in this as well. Go ahead, Cindy, thank you. And then additional budget items, future consideration, we'll have a workshop on the 17th. We'll start getting into expenditures and departments. But we'll start getting into property tax rate assumptions, future COLA for our employees, any additional positions. Right now, I don't see us requesting any additional positions right now. Not to say there won't be, but the health insurance re-rate, actually, Robin wants me to be conservative about that too, but it's actually looking good for the re-rate, so. Future capital equipment, again, future capital projects, and then additional revenue and expenses and revenue for line items as we move forward. So, kudos to Robin. She put most of this together, and I appreciate it. Very instrumental in, like last year in our budget process, and will be instrumental during this year's budget process. So, any questions, Mayor, Council?
I've got a few.
Yes, sir.
So it looked like pretty minimal water sales increase and pretty minimal sales tax increases that you had in here. Are these just conservative estimates? Because we are doing some construction that should kick in the next fiscal year and should impact those numbers, but I didn't really see a whole lot of change in there.
Yeah, again, I think we'll have a better idea of forecasting once we've closed the deal down the road. I mean, with the developer and the property owner in this case, you know, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge. And I think, you know, as I mentioned in my city manager report about getting someone to help us with a water rate study, Robin and I have been talking about, and we'll talk about it with the Water Commission later this month, about what that rate looks like. You know, we adjusted it last month, but I'm hoping with the consultant coming on with a water rate study that's going to give us sort of that number we need to look at each year, right? And have that target. And that might fluctuate between when we get development.
Okay, so we are both talking about revenue, right?
Yes, I'm sorry?
We are both talking, you and I are both
Yes,
talking about revenue
yes,
right now?
yeah.
Okay.
That would be a variable when the consultant can say, okay, this is coming on board, and you have an idea of how much this might produce from a water standpoint, you know? And that's going to change the water rate study, because my goal is if we get a consultant in on the water rate study that's done for 5 years, so 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, as that development closes, and there's another project that, as I mentioned in my city manager report, is going to also be a water provider, user. I mean, we'll be providing water, they'll be the user. That will be additional revenue too. But it's too early to tell. But once we get those online, both maybe new residential, new commercial, that's going to be something that the consultant can determine, hey, we're going to receive additional revenue down the road from that standpoint. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, so I'm going to read it back to you here. What I think I heard was that not the new residential and commercial that we think is going to happen next year wasn't necessarily incorporated until it's a little bit more solid.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I think the residential side of that with the homes may move faster, a little bit faster, because the construction time is targeting, you know, probably 12 or 14 months with any development down the street.
Okay.
So,
My next question was when we start talking about capital improvements on those, you seem to be working a lot to get matching funds or assistance from a whole bunch of different areas. Is that going to get brought up when we're making decisions about capital improvements?
oh yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
So you're
Yeah.
going to talk about all the trade space and possibilities of getting additional funds from areas?
Yeah, I think the main one is targeting the Texas Water Development Grant that you've already
Yeah,
authorized
that's
for us
what I
to
was
apply
thinking.
for.
That's the one I was thinking of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll know more. I mean, we won't hear anything until after we adopt the budget.
The deadline to apply for the grant is July 30th.
Okay.
So we have.
Got it.
We are working on that, but we don't want to guarantee, you know, we don't want to assume. We want to say we're going to be responsible for those projects until we know we have
Okay.
some funding.
And then when it
for
comes in, we can go to our unfunded
Right.
list and pull some stuff.
So we would
forward.
just do a budget amendment again to
Mm-hmm.
clear up those dollars to put towards other projects if we received it. But right now, I mean, we'll apply, but we may not hear anything for 3 to 6 months. And if we're fortunate to get the grant, then again, we'll do a budget amendment and then associate those costs with construction of the Vista Ridge and apply those dollars to another capital project.
Yeah, it makes sense. And all these water and sewer capital projects, those are a part of the utilities, which is supposed to be a separate, and those are loans, correct? That need to go back later, or need to get paid back to the city later? Am I saying
Yes.
that right?
Which ones again?
For all of the water capital improvements and the sewer capital improvement.
Yes, so, I mean, I've had discussions with Hank about that development coming through and how much dollars associated to pay for the project we would get in return. So essentially, kind of would pay for itself, right, Hank? Impact fees, yes.
We think the sewer will eventually level off and
Yes.
it'll be self-sustaining essentially. Okay.
Exactly. You
So
know,
the only real portion that we're buying there and that we need to incorporate into water rate, future water rate stuff is the capital improvement items that will need to get paid back
Yeah.
at some point.
because if we're looking at $1 million a year for 20 years, I mean, there's gonna have to be a variable associated with debt as a component of that rate that's gonna be affected.
Yep, exactly.
And so, you know, again, we have the
That's why I'm asking,
priorities,
yeah,
we have the projects, we know what we gotta do, we just gotta find the money, so.
okay.
And we're fortunate to have the reserve we do, it's just, right now, I mean, like I said, most cities have a 4 to 6 month reserve, but a lot of other cities in that situation have a lot of sales tax.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
I just had one. I was just piggybacking off of that question too, that you and Robin answered. Yeah, so I was gonna say, when we do decide to put these in order of importance, these are basically not taking into consideration any other funding sources, but us pretty much fitting the bill. And that was my next thing is, we won't know anything about grants or fundraisers or raising of other avenues of funding for these capital projects, right? That's pretty much.
No, for
Yeah.
instance, I mean, you talk about, like the library project and, you know, if there work to get partnership or outside private dollars, that'll help offset the cost, you know what I mean? But again, I think the council as a whole needs to look at priorities and the needs of each project, right? And so we'll kind of go through those, and I think, I'm trying to finalize something where we could have a workshop with council and a strategic plan, hopefully sometime, maybe later this month, to talk about what the city's priorities are. That'll all tie in line with the strategic plan. That will drive our capital projects and future budgets.
On that sewer interconnect that you had mentioned with Schertz, I'm to assume that we're on our own. Schertz isn't gonna participate in any of that funding. It's all gonna be Gardner Ridge, right?
Yeah, it would just set up as a rate. Essentially, it would be like a pass-through rate. There's a certain rate they set. We would just have to pay that annually. So. And again, more development we have, the more users who pay that offset that cost that we pay back Schertz.
And just one follow-up, I'm sorry. We are going to prioritize all the funded and unfunded through the budget workshop process, right?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
goal. So.
Any other questions, council? Good. Thank you, Robin, for your work on this, and thank you. That was a good overview.
Thank you, Robin.
Appreciate it.
So.
Yeah, Robin.
And as I
Awesome.
mentioned, I thought we had on there the future dates, just so everybody's aware. Yeah, just so you know, I mean, we'll have the special workshop on the 17th, and then again, July 1st, regular council meeting, going through the budget workshop. July 30th, I will file the proposed budget with Marissa. And then we will have on August 5th, a regular council meeting, just like we did, I believe, last year. This will pretty much all fall in line as we worked through last year. The idea is we're just starting a little early in June versus July last year. And then August 14th, we'll publish the notices and follow through with that. And then the council meeting in September, I believe it's on there. Yeah, September. There we go. Thank you. So we'll have the special meeting for the budget hearing, where council will need to take some kind of action. And then, of course, on the September 2nd meeting, adopt the budget, adopt the tax rate.
Sounds good. Thanks to you and Robin. We'll go on to 7, citizen comment period. Not required to sign up. but you've got to sign in. I see Rod Chamberlain. You know how this works. Just your name and address, and you're limited to 2 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. Rod Chamberlain, 8807 Cherokee Path. I'm talking to you with regards to the position as president of the HOA. Is it possible over the next couple months, i.e. no later than September, that we can have a formal presentation by either TxDOT or city engineer or the general contractor on 2252 to kind of give us the lay of the land? We're like supposedly within nine months of completing the project, so their date should pretty much be locked down at this point or close to it, at least so we can communicate it out to everybody. Next thing is timely with the budget. I don't know if this is being addressed on the budget or not, but can we do anything to enhance the live streaming on the city meetings, the council meetings? We cannot see the screen if you're watching it from home or wherever you're at. It's just a white blur. Is there any way we can get a split screen process that comes into play? That would be very, very helpful. And also to communicate, if you're going to do the thing on 2252 update, maybe get that out ahead of time, let people know that's going to be presented at council so that more people will be either going to the streaming or coming to the council meeting from that side. Next thing is any funding for enhancing the website for the city for next year to come into play, just considering that as part of your budget process from that area. Otherwise, you guys continue to do a great job, and I appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in with Marissa. There you go. All right, 8, announcements on items of community interest. Kelly, Jim?
Just that reminder that June the 20th is that Coffee with Council member, 9 a.m. at the library. Looking forward to those that like to come out and just have some coffee and talk, so thank you.
Linda, remind me what the date is for Jay Feibelman's memorial.
It's June 9th at 10:30.
Okay, thank you. So,
And the library is going to be closed until noon in honor of, so we can go there.
great, thank you. Anything else? I did want to speak just a little bit. We used to have economic development as a line item, and I did want to just bring people up to date that the development is still in progress on 2252 and 3009. They've extended their due diligence kind of contract up until October, so it's still in the works. And we've got a couple of other unusual things that have come to us. One part of our discussion with Heidelberg today is they have a desire to develop their 114 acres off of 3009 behind the school. Don't know much about it yet. They're talking about mixed-use development, high-end. They've got some developers, investors very interested, so just put that on your radar. The other thing is I had a meeting with a group in Bracken, a family who wants to retain their property that's been in their family for years, and they are looking at development there as well. One of the things they need is sewer. So there's not any sewer in Bracken. There is also not any sewer on 3009. So there's a potential with the one in Bracken that we do some kind of agreement and a limited jurisdiction annexation that makes their property contiguous through that annexation of the easements, and then we would be able to get there, provide them utilities, mainly sewer, and we would be able to get their property tax because it would be considered part of Garden Ridge. So just out there, just a couple of things that we're working on. So preliminary stuff on both of those, but anybody else? All right, then executive session 9. The city council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. A governmental body may not conduct a private consultation with its attorney except, 1, when the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about A, pending or contemplated litigation, or B, settlement offer, or 2, consultation with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter pertaining to Howard Energy and Outer Loop Utilities, LLC. So it is 6:45. We will convene into executive session. Council has reconvened into from executive session at 7:19. Business items, no action was taken during executive session, so we are on to 11th, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council regular meeting is adjourned at 7:19.
Go Spurs, go.